Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Smith. I'm going to be the presenter today for our group project. Our training program is called Developing Interviewing Skills. My partners include Anna, Sophia, and Tatiana. Today, we're going to talk about the lesson plan that we created for our training program, specifically about developing interviewing skills. We're going to go through our entire lesson plan, which spans from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And there's going to be a series of activities that we're going to discuss today, including the training methods that we included within our activities to hopefully teach our trainees about developing interviewing skills, helping the needs that we addressed and found in our needs assessment as well. So, before we started, I wanted to go over a brief overview of our program itself so you can kind of get a picture about what we did throughout this project to lead us to creating the lesson plan that we did today. So, our program is about developing interviewing skills. We thought about this when we realized we're college kids and we're going to start interviewing for our jobs soon, hopefully after graduation. And there's a certain amount of competencies as well as skills needed to interview well and to present yourself to future employers to hopefully secure a job after graduating. For our needs assessment, we interviewed the career office. Tatiana actually interviewed, and we did a questionnaire as well as an in person interview for our needs assessment. Throughout our needs assessment, we were able to identify some needs or deficiencies that we found through the questionnaire as well as the interview process. Specifically, students honed on to effective communication skills, emphasizing your knowledge. How can we present ourselves to employers so we sound competent? How can we apply the knowledge we just learned at college to your presenters? This is specifically, our needs assessment was specifically on college kids. However, this can apply to uh, many other um, many other trainees, such as people in the workplace. I think something I wanted to point out about our training topic is that it can apply to all industries. Each industry, each type of job, or they're going to be looking for specific knowledge, skills, and abilities from that candidate. They're all going to be different. The knowledge, skills, and abilities that are needed for a police officer are widely different than the ones that are going to be needed for a civil engineer. Uh, the KSOs, the human capital that you offer is going to be different. So that's important to keep in mind. So that's why our training program was designed in kind of in a generalized state where each each trainee, no matter what industry, no matter what type of job um, they're applying for, that they can get something out of this, that they can grow their skill set and to address the needs that we found in our needs assessment. So, other needs that we found include managing stress levels, specifically before and during the interview. And also, we recognized a need for mock interviews to specifically help being more comfortable in the interview process. There were questions about how to dress appropriately, as well as what should my resume look like for employers. That's going to be their first impression for employers. So that was also a need that we addressed in our needs assessment through our analysis. Something I also thought would be beneficial to talk about would be what makes a good interviewee. In our final report, I think it's about 5 pages long. I went and researched through academic articles about what makes a good interviewee, and this is where I'm going to span on that topic that every interviewee and every job position, they're looking for different competencies and skills, or they have different requirements. Some need college degrees, some don't. But there are going to be key competencies across the board that interviewers want, that they encourage. These include being respectful, being considerate, being approachable, knowing how to communicate, being clear, concise, positive presence. I think being respectful and being considerate is one of the big two that a lot of employers look at, and they want to be able to interact, which includes maintaining friendly body language. These are some of the universal key competencies that employers are going to look at. They want to have somebody that meshes well into their company. So knowing the industry, doing some research about the industry, knowing what they desire is what employers are going to be looking for. So that's something that we have incorporated the research throughout our lesson plan to hone in on and how to hone in on to teach to our trainees. Um, we will prioritize the needs or deficiencies found in our needs assessment throughout the lesson plan, and we use a multitude of different methods to try to teach our activities as well as address the needs on the screen, including lecture, role play, discussion, and written job aids. It's important to have a variety of training methods included because everybody is a different learner, and that's something that we've learned throughout this course. Some people aren't visual learners. Some people are better at interactive. So we wanted to make sure that we incorporated lots of different training methods and in throughout our activities, so everybody who is a trainee is accommodated for. Because again, our training program is not specific to one industry. It is generalized for applicants of all industries to gain a better understanding on how to be a better interviewer, how to present yourself in an interviewer, and that's something to keep in mind. Ideally, our program was created um, and that we would have three instructors. These instructors specifically are going to be gaining knowledge, already have knowledge about the workspace itself, about how to interview, what a good candidate looks like. A 5-to-1 trainee to trainer ratio is in mind, and this here I'm just talking about at the bottom. Again, they look for different attributes. So across all of our lesson plan, we focus on just enhancing the ability of the candidate to do well in any type of interview. Again, this is just a reminder of what our lesson plan is going to look like, the outline of it. It's conducted in a classroom setting, which makes it easier for the instructors to interact with trainees. It runs 8 to 11, and we do include a break. And then we do have at the end a follow-up activity that allows us to make use of our evaluation plan. For our first activity, that starts at 8, runs from 8 to 8:30, that's going to be our introduction to the course. We are going to have the trainees take pre pro a pre-assessment questionnaire that essentially is going to ask them what their comfort zone is, what their struggles are, getting to know what knowledge they have already coming into the training program about how to interview correctly, what their interview skills are, what do they think employers are going to expect out of them, and if they feel comfortable and able to communicate uh, the knowledge and the skills that they already possess. Once that's established, the instructor activity is actually teaching a lesson. So this is through the training method of a lecture as well as discussion. The presentation is going to be like a slideshow like this, and it's going to go over a multitude of topics, including what makes the ideal candidate. That's going over competencies such as being a strong communicator, being open, being open-minded, being positive, body language, as well as interview preparation. That is a key component of doing well in an interview is researching the employer before, being able to answer questions, being able to ask questions. So these are some of the important topics that the instructors are going to go over during it. Again, there is 3 instructors for this training program, and it accommodates about 20 trainees. So it's going to be a classroom setting. The trainees are going to be sitting down, preferably in groups of 4 to 5. And we're going to be going over topics again, such as appropriate interview attire, managing stress, how to project confidence. These are all needs that were found from our needs assessment, and that is something that's really important throughout this lesson plan is that we're reflecting off the needs of the needs assessment. So the information, activities that we have are relevant to our training program because of the needs assessment that we did. It's not worth it to hold a training program and to not address needs that don't need to be and don't need to be addressed. They're don't have efficiencies as well. But these were some that we addressed within the group that we analyzed. We also want to make sure that the instructors are taking time and encouraging note taking throughout the process, as well as allowing time for discussion. Discussion is another training method. We wanted the trainees to be able to interact to each other, to hear questions that other trainees have, to really understand and gain a lot of insight throughout this first activity, as well as discussion in the lecture. This specific activity uses the use of visual aids, which is another way to communicate information, a training method. Uh, and these visual aids will be in the presentation or the PowerPoint that the instructors use. So our second activity runs 8:30 to 8:50. Our first one, we talked about a lot about giving them a general idea of what the competencies are needed, addressing majority of the needs, teaching appropriate attire, and going over different tips on how to manage stress. So this activity itself is specifically more geared towards the discussion training method. It's the instructor activity is we're going to pass out these well, first we're going to pass out the trainee interview sheets. This is where the trainees can sign up sign up to answer questions, because this is going to be a group activity. So there's a group of 4 to 5 trainees. They're going to discuss and present themselves for questions to their group, and their group is going to give them feedback on how they did. And this is a great way for trainees to learn from each other per the social learning theory, watching and observing the behaviors of others. We wanted the trainees to watch others to see if they bring up any difficulties that they didn't even realize that they had. So it's a way for trainees to get more comfortable presenting in front of others, and to overall hone in on what kind of needs they find necessary to talk about, as well as gauging their skill level in a group setting. So it was important for our training method our training program, our lesson plan to have a break incorporated within our training program because it is 4-hour training program. Specifically, I wanted to note that this lesson plan was created for in the morning to accommodate for to be able to schedule any meetings afterwards to avoid conflicts, and preferably this training program, if it was utilized in a workplace setting, that would be in the beginning of the week rather than the later in the week to accommodate for like work assignment deadlines, etc. But during this break, we're going to pass out mock interview sign-up sheets. These sign-up sheets specifically are going to be for the mock interview at the more towards the end of our lesson program, because we have 3 instructors and this can roughly accommodate about 20 trainees. So just to divvy up for the mock interview, but we wanted to allow for a break during our lesson program to allow the trainees to refresh and to not just throw information at them for about 4 hours. Our next activity, it spans from 9:05 to 9:30. This is going to be more using the discussion type of training method because it's going to be an instructor and training activity. Instructor and training activity only, not involving other trainees where they get to chime in and talk with their other peers and trainees. Um, so the instructors themselves are going to be reviewing the trainees' resumes, which all trainees were asked to bring a copy of their resume before starting the training activity. This was a need that that was found in our needs assessment, was being able to have a quality resume, not knowing if they did or not. You know, there are a lot of questions that they can ask, such as formatting, certain experiences to talk about with their previous jobs. So this is a way for instructors and trainees to go over their resume to get even a better understanding of their knowledge and skills, because resumes act like a guide for employers to know exactly what they have done in the past. And employers will not hesitate to ask questions about their resume. So it's important that trainees know how to answer these questions. Um, and instructors will make recommendations based on the strengths and weaknesses that they find within these resumes, whether it's formatting issues, whether it's not accurately talking about a job or a task that they have done in their previous jobs. And it also gives the trainees a way to hone in on what kind of skills and competencies they already have. They're sitting back and they're thinking about what they've done in the past, and they get a better understanding of what they bring to the table for their prospective new employer during the interview process. For our next task, our next activity, it's gonna be 9:30 to 9:45. This both involves lecture and discussion training methods, because all of our instructors are gonna go over talking about the STAR method: situation, task, action, and then result, resolution, what happened. This is a typical method used in interviews, more likely for behavioral questions that employers are going to ask during an interview. So this activity was vital to help trainees be more confident in their skills and to be able to present their skills throughout this method. And then we wanted to make sure that instructors have enough time for trainees to ask questions about the skill, and how to accurately use it in an interview, and to it gives trainees a way for them to reflect off others, what they brought up, what their questions were, and to think about how, to take a step back and think about how they would respond in an interview if they were asked a question that specifically asked them, "What action did you take?" Or what situation was it? What action did you take? What was the result of it? And being able to um, accurately explain themselves, as well as their skills and competencies throughout the method, so that they can impress their future employer, and to be able to confidently present themselves, which that was a need that we found in our needs assessment, was to be a good communicator, to be confident in themselves, to be able to accurately present them skills. That was something that we found that our study group found necessary to include in our survey and our interview process. One of our final activities will be next, which spans from 9:45 to 11, to accommodate roughly 20 trainees within this training program. This involves both discussion and role playing as a way for a training method. So these are going to be our mock interviews. Trainees will have 10 minutes for the recorded interview, and then 5 minutes for the instructor and the trainee to talk about their strengths, weaknesses, verbal feedback that they can give them. These recorded mock interviews will be sent to all trainees after they're done. Um, After they're done, if they want them, as well as, in trainees are encouraged to ask questions, and as well as work on the skills that they have hopefully gained throughout the training program. One of the major goals within this activity that addresses our needs assessment is to be able to help our trainees gain confidence and to be better communicators. And this includes having them speak coherently, having them speak confidently, effectively, being able to understand their own skills, what they bring to the table, communicating their experience, and this gives them uh, a first-hand opportunity to do that. An interactive activity was really what we wanted to include in our lesson plan with the form of role playing, which expands on the social learning theory because they get to watch themselves back if they want and seeing how they interact with others and possibly change how they're interacting and presenting themselves in an interview. Instructors can give tips uh, on how to answer that question better, how to communicate their skills better, etc. Our final activity, which not necessarily an activity in our main activity, this is going to be our follow-up at the end of the training program. We're going to have a post questionnaire that resembles the Kirkpatrick evaluation model. This is going to be sent out 6 months after the training program to receive information. Did this training program help them? Did it not help them? And to understand the goals of our training program a little bit better and to see if the activities that we used were relevant to what we wanted or hoped out of this training program to address the needs found in our needs assessment. Immediately after that last activity, instructors are just going to verify that they have the correct email because those who want to receive the mock interview can. And this is also a chance for any trainees to ask questions for our instructors. Our instructors, again, they have backgrounds in interviewing people, sitting in on the interviewing process, finding ideal candidates. So they're subject matter experts for the training program itself. That's going to be the best instructor to have to guide our lesson plan for our training program. Thank you for joining along with me today for our training program, which is about developing interviewing skills. Uh, Thank you.